Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogbot333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. The New Order, the real NAS. Well, RK Ukraine. For now, though, for how much longer that's going to be the case, who knows, you know? Anyway, last video, what exactly did we do last video? It's been a while since I've sat down and recorded this. Well, we're on the... Guessing it was a lot of weakening Republicans going after these guys and the RK. And now we're working on our army stuff right now in order to go ahead and just make sure we're ready when all this stuff ends up kicking off. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead. I'm going to lower that timer for a little bit, actually. Let's go ahead and get to it, huh? Not sure what any of that really means for Argentina. I'm going to try not to cry for them, though. Got some Chilean stuff happening. Some moving around upstairs. If I didn't know what was going on, I'd be slightly concerned, but I do. That's alright. Anyway, let's go on and get the beginnings of combined arms. The professionalization of our forces continues apace, and great progress has been made in all categories but one, combined arms warfare. The reasons are numerous, all ultimately stemming from the subpar conditions we find ourselves in. However, the fact remains that this knowledge and training is fundamental to winning a modern war. The Wehrmacht will not hesitate to use every advantage against us, and the one clear advantage they possess is knowledge of the doctrine of war. Fortunately, there exists a solution, albeit a difficult one. In Kazakhstan, there exist military academies with exiles who can teach these strategies. We'll send our best officers and men there so they can employ every tank, aircraft, and artillery piece to their maximum potential. Interesting that's Kazakhstan of all places, but you know, I'm not going to question it. It's all very nice. Very nice indeed. There goes the tick. Yes, yes. We got a good amount of control all across. I think I'll focus on really getting these two regions focused on. It's interesting. In Madagascar, with the Germans holding on. Alright. Yeah, it looks like they're the RK is focusing up on the top here. The Democrats are mainly focusing here, which is fair enough. The UIA, who fucking cares about them? They're collabs, they can fuck off. And we can focus on a couple areas, so. But we'll read this first. Petro Lashenko ran a hand over the chipped concrete. It had been a bunker once before the German demolition charges had shattered its walls and killed its occupants. He'd been young then, a fresh-faced graduate from Frunze, class of 1940, right on time to fight the fascist invasion. He hadn't stopped since. He met the eyes of his counterparts, Kutsenko, Maxim, and a handful of others their junior, and nodded in greeting. It made him feel old. The last of senior political leadership of the Ukrainian SSR had met personally with the heads of the armed services. During the prelude to the West Russian War, things hadn't gone precisely to plan. Lashenko had gotten lucky, many of his comrades hadn't, and superstition was hard to shake. Prayer, he supposed, had its occasional uses. Comrades, Secretary Shumsky began, his voice filling the room. I apologize for summoning you here on such short notice, and I will not waste your valuable time on platitudes. We all know what's at stake, and we all know what we have lost. The man seemed as lively as ever, despite his age. The fascists are weakening, disorganized. We've grown stronger. Our stores are full, our men motivated and ready. He looked at each one of them. Comrades, this is our best opportunity we have. Maybe the only opportunity we might have. We cannot waste it. For the sake of our children, for the sake of revolution, for the sake of all those we have lost. That day will come soon, comrades. Very soon. An orderly handed out folders to be opened upon their return. Return to your men, spread the news, and may luck be with us all. They left determination in their faces and iron in their hearts. Let's contact the Union's remnants, or contact the remnants. We'll be able to contact the Union's remnants after this. It would be a mistake to say that Ukraine has enjoyed a perfect relationship with the members of the Union over the course of our existence with Russia in particular. At the same time, there exists an unbreakable bond between the communists of Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and Kazakhstan. Today, our military officers are trained in academies in Kazakhstan. We share equipment with Muscovian partisan groups. We disseminate knowledge, tactics, and strategies with Belarusian partisans. We support our comrades as best as we can, just as they support us. All for the cause, all for freedom. Our hour of struggle draws close. Now we live, die, and face the future together. We did so then, and we do so now. Alright, so we can go ahead. Alright. A little bit of that. Boom. Now we still have to larger cell presence, but we got some time for that. Before we can do that, rather. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll do it here. Push us over 100%. I'm hoping we're not spreading ourselves too thin here. I don't think we are necessarily. I mean, there's like a grand total of like 3 fucking places. Actually, it's not quite that bad, but... Or that... rough for them, but... Oh, we can attack the occupiers. I forgot about that. There we go. I think we got a really good roll there. I think we'll really work... We'll hold out here, I think, just for a little while longer. I think we're good there. Hugsdorf will just naturally... Let me see what the contact the Union's remnants. Okay, so just 1 extra %, but we also get experience at the start of the uprising every time we take this action. Interesting. We'll do it over here then. Next, let's go ahead and tap the pipeline. It's widely known that a smuggling empire exists within the borders of the Reich's eastern territories. One of the largest smuggling pipelines is one that flows through Ukraine into Muscovian, where thousands of illegal weapons are sold on the black market to partisans, criminals, and the common corrupt German official. As the day of the revolution approaches, we find ourselves in a deficit of weapons. To alleviate this issue, we will routinely ambush convoys using the pipeline, seizing massive caches of weapons to fuel our war effort. See, this I'm okay with. Iberian Council, yes, yes. I'll have total control over here, which is not the best, but I'm also not gonna fight it. Not the best roll there, but that's okay. Enlarge the cell presence soon, which we'll focus on here. And now we're out of command power. Now that's gonna... be a bit of a problem. Especially because we don't have any war support. I forgot we need that. And we're slowly regaining it. We tag the pipeline. What is that going to do? That's just extra weapons. I'm not... We're okay weapons-wise. I'm not worried about weapons. I'm more worried about Nazis, really. And see, the more we hold on to, we'll be okay. I'm not going to waste the command power on that. I don't know if it's a waste, but I think there's better things to use it on. Well, here we go. Let's assemble the uprising. The time is fast approaching. The continuing disintegration of the occupation state is clear to all. When speaking revolution, the only talk is of when, not if. We must be ready to make the final preparations in order to be ready for that time. The militias will be called up, assembled, armed, and moved to the prepared German attack points. Ordinarily, the German would intercept and destroy them, but they are far too busy to do so right now. Far too distracted. That is most excellent indeed. We can do a few more actions while we're here. The auto tick is kicking off. Disrupt some infrastructure. We'll do it there. There we go. We got a nice connection here. Not 100% sure what that's going to fully entail, but we'll see in a bit, won't we? I'm not worried about attacking the pipeline. Oh, the rebels have been crushed. Interesting. Good contact with the remnants. That's just like 1 extra percentage. That's kind of okay, but not like incredibly needed. Oh, let's go. Target collaborators. Ooh, that was a nice roll. Very nice roll to kick this thing off on. And then we can just go ahead and focus more on here. Distribute the propaganda. Assembled the uprising. Now I think the only really the only thing to do is to kick off 1918 once more. The wheels of history turn and groan as we make ready to achieve our destiny. As the Ukapist, Borotbist, and Ukrainian Bolsheviks did in 1918, we now also stand ready to overthrow and expel a German-supported reactionary regime, while Berlin is engulfed in turmoil. Our chance is here, and as we succeed, then we shall succeed now. There is no doubt that the forces aligned against us are considerable, but our forces are prepared. The Communist Party is united, and our resolve is steadfast. For we have something no others have. The Ukrainian people stand at our side, and together we march to seize our liberation. The die is cast, and enough in history will soon say if we have done enough. Death to the German invaders. Long live Ukraine. They'll give us 10 extra war support. And I think with that, the Serbian National Uprising. We got a lot of support over here. A good amount over there. I'm almost debating if I should just enlarge the cell presence here. Just get us a nice 50% or above 50%. I think I will, just in case. And then I'll disrupt some infrastructure somewhere if I have time. Well, it's going to be close. But there goes the German Civil War. And so it begins. The basement of an unassuming apartment building in eastern Ukraine, Andrei Rachitsky sits by the bank of telephones and drums, his fingers on the desk. One knee bounces up and down, heel clacking slightly on the concrete floor. The room is full of people, but there is no sound except for the occasional click of a lighter as yet another cigarette sparks up. As the room slowly fills with smoke, Rachitsky's hands unconsciously clench and unclench. A single drop of sweat trickles down on his brow. In a heavily guarded bunker, Roman Rodzolski and Vsevolod Holubnitsky sit helpless. They are civilian intellectuals, not warriors. The great gamble will have to succeed or fail without them. Holubnitsky paces around the room clockwise, as he has been doing for hours. Rodzolski stares at his lap and wipes his glasses with scrap of paper. In a crowded office behind a commercial garage in Kharkiv, Mykola Zubatenko bellows at his subordinates and sends men scurrying for cover. With fighting about to begin, secrecy is paramount. All cells are on lockdown, and the NKVS is stretching itself to the breaking point, ensuring that no information gets out to unsuspecting German garrison. Red-faced and exhausted, Zubatenko drains a shot of vodka to strengthen his spirit. Alexander Shumsky sits and smokes a cigarette. His hands are still, his posture relaxed, but his hazy, thousand-yard stare betrays his true feelings. It is all coming down to this. One last chance. A free Ukraine, or their total destruction. It is about to begin. I think this is going to be the one that kicks things off. Corporal Schultz watched the three men from atop their stump. Their shadows flickered on the canopies of the tall trees as their meager campfire sparked. The grounds were wet with evening mist, drowning what little heat the piled twigs could produce, but the three men hardly seemed to mind. They'd seen nights much darker and colder than this one. The first man was recounting yet another tale in a bellowing voice that would have gotten him shot even a kilometer closer to towns. Then you remember how we're hiding that cellar, the one with all the carrot marmalade the farmers were hiding away. Huh. Of course I can never forget Anna and her delicious marmalade with that light hint of cinnamon. Though, as I always say, the woman is often tastier than her cooking, and with Anna I couldn't have been proven more right, said that second man with a hearty laugh. Please, comrade, we both know she never got a meter near you with those shit-stained Red Army rags of yours. I cannot say the same for myself, of course. Hold up in that tiny cellar. Your ass was so close to my face I could probably taste a week's worth of your suppers. Ah, but I bet even our friends' hindquarters are almost certainly tastier than your cooking. You're too harsh, comrade. Even a fine chef like myself cannot make a meal out of what those crowds call rations, snapped the third man. He tossed a pink sausage at Corporal Schultz's pallid cheeks before it bounced off with a slick flop. Cut that out, or you'll dirty up his face. We want his friends to admire every ounce of that Aryan beauty when they see his head pinned to a tree. Can I get a little more? Okay. Where do we want to do this? We'll do it in Kiev. There was a stillness in the campsite, the kind of stillness that precedes a storm. Soldiers ate their rations in silence. Patrols moved quietly through the forest brush. Lyudmila Pavlichenko cleaned her rifle, delicately removing and polishing each part and reassembling it. Not much longer now, she thought. She looked at her arm. There was a deep indent where a bullet had entered her arm and a spider web-like mass of tissue that spiraled out from it. When she flexed her muscles, there was no longer pain, only the ghost of a feeling. She continued to stare at that arm curiously and wondered how long it had been like that. She could remember as if it were yesterday when her arm had been rendered mangled and useless by the Hitlerites. She remembered fleeing through the forest to Donetsk, consumed by pain and fear. She remembered the painful treatment and stinking, stained bandages. Now she felt none of that. She tried to move her fingers, and they responded. She balled her hand into a fist. There was no more fear. There was no more pain. She felt no anxiety. There was simply the mission that had her. She and her comrades would liberate the cities of Ukraine. They would sweep from Rostov to Lviv, eliminating the fascist invaders wherever they were, ripping and tearing the colonizers from the earth. They would root out the vultures, and then at long last achieve true, genuine freedom. From somewhere far behind her, soldiers began to stir up from their stillness. It was time to move forward. The storm was upon them. The thunder of boots precedes the lightning of battle. Pavlichenko will help lead the liberation of Ukraine and of all Ukrainians. She will see her people free. Or die. Trying. Oh, is that not going to kick it off? Oh, that was going to be a great place to just leave it off there and then just leave on that note. We'll do one more. Maybe it'll just be like the start of the month. I don't know. Franco-Burgundian War, cool. No, it's sometime this month. It's all gonna kick off. Well, oh, here we go. The solution was simple, obvious, evident, yet a decision that would not be made. No response was coming. Georg Liebrandt simply could not believe it. Could not believe the stupidity that such an action implied. Ukraine was disintegrating. It was obvious to any intelligent observer, untrained or not, and the implication of that disintegration, should be allowed to occur, were staggering. Economically, militarily, and most importantly, in Liebrandt's eyes, ideologically. Ukraine was proof of concept. It could not be allowed to fail. Yet, that is precisely what he saw was about to happen. He had sent his missive to Germania, carefully worded and well supported by exhaustive empirical evidence, as to why he should, without delay, be appointed Reichskommissar, in order to, of course, stave off the coming darkness. No reply had been forthcoming. What had been forthcoming had been reports from all over Ukraine of bandit uprisings, and of the wholesale slaughter of settler communities, of disappearing equipment, deserting auxiliaries, and demoralized garrison forces, of disorder, of impending systematic collapse. Things were getting much worse, much more quickly than anyone else but he could see, and he had to act to correct it before the experiment of Ukraine failed entirely. He sent the message again. There was no answer. What shall become of this? The breadbasket mechanic has been disabled due to the German Civil War. Alright, well, that doesn't apply to us, does it? Oh, well, that's not quite it. The plane was finally in motion, and the suits in Kiev, much less their masters in Germania, didn't even know it. U-SSR partisans who had once assumed the moniker of bandits thrust on them by the media and the government did what they always did, cutting telephone lines and harassing the moving parts of the occupiers' machines. Where the lights went out across Donbass, not a single official would bat an eye, even as they were being blindfolded and gagged in preparation for the revolution. The cities were suddenly in flames, leftist rebels, armed and unarmed, wreaking havoc across them in a caustic mixture of galvanized riots and paramilitary operations. Scrambled troops were overwhelmed by the sheer mass of the people's anger, and those that fled around themselves and countryside so hostile to their very existence that perhaps they would have been safe amongst the furious rioters and the well-armed, bitter partisans. They at least had more luck than the administrators of various cities, who called and called to the men in Kiev to send help, but might as well have been screaming at a brick wall with their communications cut. Perhaps one or two slipped away in the fog of war, but the government would still be slow to act, even as Lugansk burned. Time passes, and more information escaped the blackout and brief cries of help. Finally, it would seem that Reichskommissariat officials pulled their heads out of sand once the violence began spilling out of Donbass and into the rest of Ukraine, and faced reality. These were no mere bandits, and these were no mere raids. This was a revolution. Will they respond in time? Well, don't you know? Talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper. Oh, Poland is free? They instantly won that shit. Rostov-Gasen is about to break. We believe the Bolshevik agitation has led to a peasant revolt. Our men can't hold for much longer. Lviv is dealing with overwhelming nationalist insurgencies, attacks on a unseen scale. The frantic reports were fired as Ohlendorf at machine gun pace, yet his cold and pensive stare remained. The SS officers among them lacked the Prussian demeanor. They were frightened and young, unable to hold their own, blown here and there by any gust of change. So they turned to him, the problem solver. Brodegum and Liebrandt may preach reform and practice their base politicking, but they never had to put a bullet in a communist once in their lives. As his men continued to look at him expectantly, Ohlendorf rose to deliver his verdict. The already stretched fit to the brink for men. Tells the garrisons to hold out until they can reinforce their positions, but... Ohlendorf tapped Kiev's spot on the map as if it were a hidden clause. Our attention must be focused on the core, lest it succumb to opportunistic outbursts of revolution. If we lose that, we'll lose our most critical administrative base, leaving our men to be picked off like flies. The faces among the officers were mixed. Some could only mourn the inevitable losses their detachments would suffer. Some were just relieved to have had the hard choices made for them. But a lingering question remained. What now? Consolidate our control over the center. If anyone dares to make a move in Kiev, put them in the dirt. 20 years of work has gone into maintaining our Lebensraum. If it fell, the shame will follow us all, and our families into the grave, even if we survive. Now, get to it. Well, revolution calls out, but not quite yet. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, not feel free to dislike, leaving comments, feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any and all feedback you might have for me. Check out my various links in the description box below. You all know the deal by now. If you're watching at home, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.